Hey Michelle, good start here. You definitely have some sense of depth here with the use of scale of these objects. You know what I would really suggest is having a look at this video here, how to transform texture. Actually, these Photoshop ones, and also how to use the gradient tool for Photoshop. The Illustrator ones aren't that great, but again, they go over, it goes over how to create light. So again, if you use this, it's really actually really handy. So yeah, that would be my main suggestion. The Illustrator ones really aren't that good, so yeah, definitely have a look at the Photoshop. This one, actually the Photoshop ones are actually really worth watching, and you'll also learn some stuff. So anyway, I'm in Photoshop with your file. As you can see, I just made a layer up here. So I mean, there's some ways. Actually, that video goes more into detail. But again, here's the gradient tool, and it's by the paint bucket tool. And so if you set whatever two colors here and you go up here, you can kind of see all these different configurations, but I'm just going to go the basic one. And the thing is to use the radial gradient. I mean, you can try all of these, but I think you used one of these before. So then again, if you just take that and then you kind of just play with dragging it, you can see how I'll just turn your back off for a second. You can see how it starts to create more of a look of the lights hitting one side, and really just play with it. There's so many different ways to deal with it, and again, you can just keep dragging it. Whoa, wow. So yeah, so just really look at it and just there's different ways to approach it. But again, those tutorials are a lot better than what I'm doing right now. So anyway, if you get some volume in these round forms, I think it'll really come across even better. And I probably wouldn't space them perfectly apart just for a sense of unity. I'd probably, maybe put one here, and maybe one even back over here, so your eye kind of zigzags through. It's just some composition. I mean, there's tons of other things you could do to create solidity, and I'm not gonna, this is really corny, but you could go in with, and another thing that you might not know, if you have the circle tool, and you hold down the shift key, it'll make a perfect circle as opposed to like an ellipse. And that's the same with the rectangular tool. You could go in, I have a new layer, and you could use the line tool. And that's another thing too, that if you hold this shift key down, it will perfectly constrain either horizontal or vertical. So I'm just gonna Control Z, backward. So anyway, this is set at 5 pixels. That's too big. I'm going to set it at 4. But this is just to illustrate. You could do something where you added sides to the building. Well, this is going to be too big and look really hokey. But again, I'm going to hold the shift key and do something like this. That looks really hokey. Never mind. That's the wrong perspective too. So again, I always do research. I love Google image search. But again, just adding some sides in it. And notice how this angle's going down. That's, you want to keep that consistent. So let me see here. I have the set way too big though. I need to make it smaller. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to really set this at like 2 pixels. But again, so you can do something with the line tool, or you can, there's other tools you can use too. This is still going to be too big. No, it's got to be very little, doesn't it? And again, my workflow, and then I'm going to hold that shift key down to get it to and you can kind of see how it already kind of looks a little bit more like it has some depth. I'm going to even go with 1 pixel here, and then again I'm going to put another side here. But again, you can kind of see, and probably 1 pixel would be better. I mean, if you're going to go with something like this, that will also work to create, you know, a little bit more sense of solidity and depth. So anyway, just a few suggestions, but I really do suggest viewing those tutorials, because that's going to give you some other cool techniques to create the depth and volume. Okay, so anyway, making progress. I just think maybe a little bit more work for the final submission. Okay, happy 4th.